And then in international news, we gotta talk about why people are protesting what they're calling a mass murder at death camps in Turkey. Because for well over a month now, thousands of Turkish protesters have been out in the streets demanding the repeal of what's been dubbed the massacre law, a measure first introduced by President Erdogan's ruling Justice and Development Party back in May, with the first draft of it proposing to collect stray dogs and then just kill any that weren't adopted within a month. But then, after massive public backlash, the party revised the bill to make it a tad less murdery. And so what we saw is that the new version, which was passed in late July, required municipalities to collect stray dogs in shelters, vaccinate, neuter, and spay them, and then put them up for adoption. And then, with this new version, only the ones that were in pain, terminally ill, or posed a health risk to humans would be killed. Now with that, a lot of people still weren't happy with that version either, but the government argued that it was the only real way to deal with Turkey's enormous population of stray dogs. Because current estimates put their number at around 4 million stray dogs, though it's hard to really know for sure. And you have many accusing these stray dogs of causing traffic accidents, spreading disease, and just pooping where they shouldn't. Not to mention, of course, attacking people, which can be incredibly scary if they have rabies. With a report from an anti-stray dog organization counting 65 people who have died in street dog attacks since 2022. But then, of course, you have those who oppose the law for a number of reasons. With them first arguing that it's impractical since Turkey's already cash-strapped municipalities don't have the money to carry out the policy. With the president of the Turkish Veterinary Medical Association telling the BBC that only about 1/3 of the provincial and district municipalities have shelters. And so they're worried that this law is going to either put dogs in overcrowded, unsanitary shelters or just kill them on the pretense that they're sick just to save money and make space. But also you have critics saying they're opposed to this law just in principle, arguing that the vast majority of stray dogs are harmless and they've become a beloved part of many communities for centuries, with residents and businesses traditionally leaving out food and water bowls on stoops and street corners for animals that they consider a fixture of their village, town, or city. But I mean, it's actually comical how well assimilated Turkish stray dogs are said to be, with the Washington Post, for example, noting that you'll find them patiently waiting to cross a green light, hitching ferry rides across the river, and marching alongside protesters. Even when these dogs don't technically have an owner, many have developed close relationships with specific people who see and feed them every day, which is why now the prospect of some government officials just snatching them up and whisking them away to possibly euthanize them has outraged quite a few Turks. And so with that, we've seen some mayors from the opposition party even vowing not to implement the new law, even under threat of incarceration. Though this also, it's been speculated that the government could use that as an opportunity to persecute its political opponents. And then this also, as others claim, that this is simply an attempt to distract from the country's other economic troubles and recover from its electoral losses in local elections in March. But really, however cynical the policy may be, nearly 80% of people agree that some measure needs to be taken to remove stray dogs from the streets. Though this also is less than 3% told the survey they believe those dogs should be euthanized, according to the BBC. And so all of that brings us to the question of, well, then what is the actual solution here? Because if you have 80% of people going, yeah, something needs to be done, but seemingly only 3% okay with dogs being euthanized, and that's a massive part of now the law that's in place, well, what do you do? Do you just leave the stray dogs alone? Do you just continue with this policy even though you know the resources aren't there, so even more dogs than really what's being advertised are going to be euthanized? And or is there something in the middle that could actually be a solution and not just like on paper? Because again, real world resources are a big part of this equation, and even in the proposed solution now, like it doesn't seem like they're there. But for now, we'll have to wait to see how this actually plays out.